Hey, people of the party! Ryan here from Hex Bones Tabletop Club, and today I want to talk about combat in Dungeon Crawl Classics. So I wanted to do an actual play situation and show you where we're getting all these numbers from and just the general flow of combat. So just a disclaimer, if you've already played some D20 RPGs, there's nothing particularly groundbreaking here, except maybe the spell tables, but that's a DCC specific thing, so you're going to be looking into that anyways. This is more aimed for somebody who's never played before and they want a really quick and to-the-point demonstration of it. So, I'll be playing the role of a judge, a warrior, and a wizard in a party. So, to kick it off here, a judge is going to say something like, you enter a cavern and see an enormous man-sized beetle. It turns, clicks its mandibles together, and charges towards you. Roll initiative. So now at this point, you're going to take a look down at your character sheet, and we'll go with the warrior first, and you're looking for an initiative bonus on your sheet. As soon as you find that, which as you can see here for our warrior, we have an initiative +1. Usually, I don't want to derail us here, but usually it's a class feature of the warrior that he gets to add +1 to his initiative for every level he is, and he's level 2, but he has a -1 modifier to his agility that also affects his initiative bonus. So, sorry, that derails us a little bit, but that's why he only has a +1. So, you roll your action dice, which is a d20, roll it, and then you add your initiative modifier to it, and the warrior gets a 10. And you say this out loud to your judge. I got a 10. And then we'll go over, and now it's the wizard's turn. He's going to do the same thing. As you can see, he has no bonus to his agility modifier. So it's just a flat d20 roll. Rolls that again, and the wizard gets a 6. And then your judge will be quietly rolling for the initiative for any of the monsters that you're facing. So in this case, I'm also going to blow one for the beetle. And the beetle gets 4. So we have our initiative lineup set. The judge knows now. And the turns in combat are going to be wizard, warrior, beetle. And this just keeps repeating until the combat is resolved in some way. Either something dies, or you run away, you retreat. There's lots of ways to get out of it, but it just keeps repeating until that happens. So the first thing that you want to do, since the warrior is up first, the judge is going to ask you what you want to do. This is all going to be theater of the mind, which is how I'm going to run most of the games at my table. So everybody also has movement limits. You can only move so far, but when you're playing theater of the mind, I tend to kind of hand wave that stuff. As long as it's not completely unreasonable that you'd be able to, in this case, this warrior be able to run over to the beetle, we're going to let it happen. So the warrior now, let's pop back over to his sheet. The warrior looks down at his character sheet and, we see that he's got a longsword and he decides that's what he wants to do. But also, being a warrior in DCC, he gets a mighty deed and he decides that he wants to try to slide underneath this beetle and cut off one of his legs as a mighty deed. So in doing that, we have to roll to hit. And that involves rolling your action dice, which for a level 2 warrior is a standard d20, and his deed dice, which is a d4. So you roll them both at the same time, add those two numbers together, plus your strength modifier, since we're using a melee weapon. So +1 for the modifier, and our total for the warrior, mathing, is an 18 to hit. So you announce an 18 to hit, you've told them what your mighty deed is, and then the judge is going to check the armor class of the creature that you're trying to hit, and in this situation, it hits, so go ahead and roll damage. So now you have a separate set of dice that you roll to determine how much you hurt him for. So in this case, we can pop back over and look at his weapon here, and this one does 1d8 +1 plus your deed. So now I've got to take a d8, which is the longsword damage dice, give that a roll. Don't re-roll my deed dice, just add what I had before to it, and then I also get to add 1 for my strength modifier. So I do a total of 10 damage to this beetle. And you announce that to the judge, and then your judge, usually they won't tell you how much health an enemy creature has, and they'll just kind of describe it. But since you used a mighty deed, they're definitely going to describe it, that the warrior slides across and he chops off the legs of this beetle. The beetle kind of falls over on one side, right? Whatever. So now we move on. The next person in initiative order was the wizard. So let's bounce over to the wizard here. And obviously, the wizard wants to cast a spell. So the first thing he's going to do, he's going to say, I want to back away a little bit. I'm a little bit too close to the beetle. So I want to back away a little bit. And then I want to try to cast Flaming Hands. So in order to do that, you have to roll a spell check. So that is a d20 plus 3, according to this character sheet. That plus 3 is coming from his character level, level 2, plus his intelligence modifier. So 2 plus 1. So that's where the 3 comes from. And we've decided that we want to try to cast Flaming Hands, because we still have that spell and we haven't lost it for the day. So if we bounce back over here, let's pull up the Flaming Hand spell that I magically have the page number memorized for. And what we'll do is we'll roll our action dice, which is a d20. Bam! Okay, and so I got a 9. So a 9 plus the 3 that I get to add to it, that gives me a total of 12, which just barely gets this spell off. Just barely, but I didn't lose it, which is a cool thing. So now I can read off this table based on what I rolled that a single blast of fire strikes one target within range for 1d3 points of damage. So now I roll one of these really cool Dungeon Crawl Classics funky dice. It's a d6, but it only has it's only got 1 through 3 on it. So you roll that for the damage. Bam! I got a 3. So you tell the judge that it was a 3 damage. The judge is going to mark that down on the monster, and there's also other things you can do when you're casting spells. There's a manifestation thing you can do here, which is really cool and adds some flavor to it, but it kind of slows down combat. So definitely use it, but maybe not all the time. And with that, that's the end of the wizard's turn. So now the beetle is up. So, what the beetle has decided to do, and this is all going to be coming from the judge. The judge is going to control all this. The beetle's going to attack the warrior. It's got his mandibles. He's going to try to bite the warrior because the warrior is still right there with him, and he cut off his legs. So there's going to be some rolling, etc., etc., and then the judge is going to announce does a 17 hit, which is what the beetle rolled. So back over on the warrior is going to look at his armor class. And you're trying to meet or beat when you're rolling. So, and what do we have? Oh, I've moved the dice. It was a 17, I believe. So, a 17 to hit does beat an armor class of 11, so that means we hit. So now the beetle rolls for damage. And we've done a total of 5 damage to this warrior. So then the warrior is going to take his max hit points down from 18 to 13, and that's going to be it. We'll call that it for this beetle's turn. And now it's going to swing back up to the warrior. And this just keeps happening until either something dies or something breaks combat. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Just a really quick roll and a roll through combat. And you guys are just going to have to trust me on my rolls here. I wasn't fudging them. That's kind of how they turned up. But hopefully you can kind of see how all these numbers come across and how things are calculated and figured out. And I think that's it. So I'll see you all later.